Oh dear, all right. Well, Miss Payton, tell us, what's your connection with the dewdrop in?
Huh. Well, I got introduced to the drop in. Should we stop and I cut that one down too?
Maybe
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Trey,
Yes, sir.
that phone is on the bed. The ringer thing is on the side. Put it on off if
All
you
right.
would. God, I
That was
mean,
classic
I
one.
mean, right? Just as soon as the bing.
Typical.
Eh, Lord. You
Take
see
two.
it?
Yep, got it.
Okay.
Let's just wait for.
Okay, they off. That killed me. You killed that one. All right. Okay.
Take two.
My connection with the dewdrops started, I would say, around 1962 or 63. I had, it was my second year in college, and I was playing, fraternity gigs and bars, and it was kind of traditional for the musicians to stop somewhere at night and have a meal or whatever. It started, I was in my younger days in high school. The guys wouldn't take me around there. They took me to a place around the corner that was called Hunt's Varsity, and there was really no age limit like now. We could go in there, eat and even drink. But finally, I got a chance to get snuck into the dewdrop, and it was like God, because dewdrop was almost like the Black Apollo, or the Apollo of the South. It was really classy, classy night spot, and everybody was there. Everybody came. Man, and when I went there, I can't even use the words. I was happy as a blah 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 in Boys Town. You know what I mean? And Jesus, everybody would be there, and because of the segregation at that time, all the big acts who performed in New Orleans, like James Brown, Bobby Blue Bland, whoever, when they finished downtown, they came to the Dewdrop, and most times got on stage and performed with the band. One of the other things, talking about eating, the Dewdrop, of course, was a nightclub, but next door and connected with the club was the restaurant, and they had a hotel. Well, the one thing about the restaurant, you could go in, you could get either red beans and rice or spaghetti and meatball for 36 cents a plate with a cold drink and toast. And then see the end of the show because it went at least till 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, the show ended, but then the jam session started. Whatever musicians were around, they got up and they performed just like the show was still going on, like they were hired to play. And this would go on till 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And of course, I was in college, and the guys that I was playing with, they were all married, so they would, and I didn't have a car. They would bring me there, but they had to leave. I wasn't gonna leave till the last note. So come the morning, I had to walk to the corner and catch a bus to come home. And in the wintertime, it wasn't too nice because they had phone booths at the time you could stand in, and I would stand in the phone booth. And well, it didn't smell so good in there. And every week I would say, I'm not going to be standing here next week in this phone booth on Monday morning because I had to run home, get ready to go back to school for my class. Shoot, every Monday morning there I was standing in that phone booth with my electric bass and my amplifier waiting for the bus. Because the show, you didn't want to miss the show. Everybody came there. Earl King, Big Joe Turner, Ernie Cato, like the band I was working with at the time, the drummer's girlfriend took a picture of us backing up Bobby Blue Bland because we knew all of his songs at the time. He came up and sang with us. And it was just, I mean, it was the place to be. And even though it was segregation at the time, there were lots of whites that came and they were welcome. I mean, even big stars came in there. and all the cats hung out. There was like a meeting place for musicians because during that time everybody didn't have a telephone. So you'd run into some guy and say, "Hey man, what you doing next Friday?" "Nothing. I got a gig at such and such a place, Meet me over there. I'll pick you up." And those kind of things happen. And sometimes it would turn into not just a weekend gig, but you'd wind up playing in that same place for a year, just from that one weekend of getting together in that place. No rehearsal, no nothing, just boom. Everybody called the songs. Everybody knew the songs. It was simple. It's not like the hip hop and all the razzle-dazzle that's happening now. It was usually two or three changes, the rock and roll, blues, There wasn't that many changes. And if you heard the song once, you had it, or somebody in the band said, "Do this, do that, do that." And you had the arrangement. And like I said, you'd work for a year or two in that one club just from that meeting one night, somebody at the Dewdrop. It was a classy place. And a little bit about the show, it was a bona fide show. They had an MC who was usually Patsy. There was a comedian. There was a striptease, shake dance as we called it, and there was a band. And then they had a feature artist. Could have been a singer, female singer, male singer. I remember once there was just a guy who played saxophone, and he played saxophone with saxophone, and he had a sock cymbal. He played sock cymbal with one foot while he played the saxophone. Dewdrop was something else, and I don't know if I'm saying too much at once, but the Dewdrop was a place that catapulted a lot of international, or not international, but national artists like Nat King Cole. That was before my time, but he did his stint there before he took off. Ray Charles too. It's documented. Ray Charles hung around the Dewdrop before he got big. And a lot of the big cats didn't hang around, but they made sure and stop around, before they, or while they were in the area, let's say.
Why do you think everyone went to the Dewdrop and not another club?
Well, there was no other place like the Dewdrop. There was one other club in New Orleans that had the capacity to hold as many people, but they didn't have a regular show, and that was it was called Hayes Chicken Shack. Later on, it was called Vernon's, and I remember 1961 I saw Coltrane at Vernon's, Vernon's was maybe 8 or 9 blocks from the Dewdrop on Louisiana Avenue, but the Dewdrop had music performances 24/7, every night, 7 days a week. There was something. And on the weekend, it wasn't nothing nice. They started later and it ran later. But it was a late night spot, and there was always, after the show, musicians around who were willing to get together and, just play. They couldn't stop playing. There wasn't nothing else to do.
Seems like it was quite a good training ground for those musicians as well.
Of course. Well, yes and no. It wasn't a training ground as much as it was a place to perform. Now, for training grounds, we had the neighborhood bars. This is pre-disco. All the ballrooms, I don't care how big it was or how small it was, they had live music, at least on the weekends. And some of them had, special Wednesday night, or one club will have a Tuesday night, or blah, blah, blah. But the dewdrop had every night. After you performed, after you got your training in these little bars around, then you went and tried out at the dewdrop. You know, to make sure you were, and if you was accepted there, then you're on. Somebody, in fact, I got picked off the dewdrop stage by Alan Toussaint. I was playing with the group that I was playing with, and he saw me, and we had music, you know, right? So he saw I could read, and he sent a message up, tell that boy, blah, 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 meet that Cosmo Studio. You know, he saw me, so it was like the Apollo, you know.
What instrument did you play in those days?
I was playing the electric bass then. Yeah. I don't even own one now.